Go anywhere today and you'll see that protein has really taken a front seat in terms of what people are looking for when it comes to food. There's no doubt about it, protein is one of the leading trends within food innovation right now. But for those of us that are either savvy enough to remember or just really understand or want to learn a little bit more about the sustainable food system, you'll remember that animal agriculture is one of the most carbon intensive ingredients anywhere you can find. 47 kilograms of carbon dioxide are emitted alone just to make 1 pound of beef. Not to mention that beef does not have the best nutritional profile for you. It's really high in saturated fats, and while there are definitely some leaner cuts of beef, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily the best for you. So today I want to talk about some sustainable protein choices that you can take as you start trying to eat better for the planet. If you're new here, hi, I'm Kelly. I study food science and I'm also an advocate for sustainable eating. And this is my channel Made to Sustain, where I help you make food choices that are better for you and the planet. But before we get started, I just want to share that all of this information that I'm getting specifically relates to the carbon footprint of the product and was taken from a study done in 2018, which I'll link down below. When we're talking about sustainable protein options, one of the best ones that you can start to eat is beans and legumes. And beans can come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. They're extremely versatile and they fit in so many different types of cuisines. Beans are actually really great because they don't have a very high carbon footprint and they also grow underground and help support the nitrogen cycle of restoring and regenerating soil and soil nutrients. They're also high in protein and they're high in fiber and they're full of micronutrients like iron and magnesium, which are great for you and your health. Some of my favorite recipes for beans include things like buffalo chickpeas, beet hummus, and things like black bean quesadillas or even black bean burritos. The next sustainable protein on our list is peanuts. Peanuts are also really great in balancing your health because they are high in protein, they're high in fiber, and they have a very low carbon footprint. Peanut oil is actually very healthy for you as well because it's full of polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are great for brain health. And one of my favorite ways just to eat them are like a peanut butter and banana sandwich. Next up on our list of sustainable protein sources are nuts. Now, I want to preface this by saying nuts get a really bad reputation, and rightfully so, because some, like almonds, tend to use a lot of water when it comes to modern industrial almond farming. But many are working on that, on figuring out how do they reduce the amount of water that they use. But today, again, we're just talking about the carbon footprint of the food, and nuts are a great option because nuts grow on trees and the trees actually sequester the carbon. So when we're talking about low carbon foods, nuts can actually be a carbon negative way to get a great amount of protein. Some of my favorites are walnuts, cashews, and pecans. I love eating them with a salad. I love making cashew cream to make a ton of sauces, and I love candied pecans in the salad. They're one of my favorite things just to snack on or to put in a salad for a little extra sweetness. Next up in terms of another sustainable protein source is soy. And soy also gets a bad reputation, but when we compare it with things like beef, soy has an extremely low carbon footprint, only about 4 kilograms of carbon dioxide per pound of soy product made. So things like soy milk, tofu, or just even edamame are great ways that you can eat soy and get fantastic amounts of protein. Soy really is a superfood, and it's a great sustainable protein source. One of my favorite underrated sustainable protein sources is actually bottom of the food chain fish. And these are things like mackerel, anchovies, and sardines. And these are full of omega-3s, which are excellent for your brain health. And we always hear things like you should eat salmon and tuna because of their excellent sources of omega-3s, but salmon and tuna are actually carnivorous fish, and they eat up all these little guys at the bottom of the ocean, at the bottom of the food chain. And that is how they end up getting those beneficial omega-3s when we go and eat salmon. So if you cut out that middle piece and just eat at the bottom of the ocean food chain, like these really tiny fish, it's a great way to get a great source of omega-3s, and they're high in protein, and they're just a fantastic source of nutrition. A company that I've been keeping my eye out that's doing this really well is Patagonia Provisions, which is owned by the beloved Patagonia outerwear company. And they created a brand called Patagonia Provisions, which handles all sustainable food products, and they're doing a really phenomenal job. So I definitely recommend checking out Patagonia Provisions for their seafood, or just testing it out the next time you go to the grocery store. Some of my favorite ways to eat these lower bottom of the food chain fish are mixed in with pasta and artichokes and tomatoes. It makes a phenomenal summer pasta salad. If you end up getting things like sardines in oil, I actually take some of the oil and I put it over my dog's food or my cat's food, and they go absolutely crazy for it. It's a fantastic treat for them. Sometimes we've taken it and we've put it on toast with like a squirt of lemon juice and eaten it with a salad. You can mix in some additional anchovies in your Caesar salad to get that really extra fishy taste. I know these bottom of the food chain fish can be particularly fishy, and they're definitely not for everybody, but there are some other sustainable protein options from this list that you can choose from the next time you're looking for a sustainable food option. The last sustainable protein source that I want to talk about is eggs. And eggs get an interesting reputation, right? They're not suitable for the vegan diet, but eggs are actually considered a complete protein. So when we talk about things like PDCAS or protein digestibility amino acid score, that's basically how bioavailable is this protein, or how readily available is this protein to eat, or how much protein can you get from this one particular serving. Egg is actually considered the gold standard in nutrition for protein, and all other protein sources are compared against it. Eggs have a really low carbon footprint because the source that they come from, chickens, are able to make multiple of them. Eggs have a lower carbon footprint than chickens and eating chickens alone, and they are a great source of nutrients and protein. So to wrap it up, we've got 8 sources of sustainable proteins: beans and legumes, peanuts, nuts, soy proteins, bottom of the food chain fish, and eggs. Eating more sustainable proteins is just one way that you can start on your journey to more sustainable cooking. And if you want to learn more about that, then I really encourage you to watch my next video on how to start sustainable cooking in your own home. Thanks so much for joining today. And if you learned something, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel so you get all the latest updates, and comment below which one of these sustainable proteins surprised you the most. Thanks so much for coming around, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.